In 12 row bouts, the middleweight champion of Canada from Vancouver, Michael Olajide Jr. The referee, Jackie Abelman.
Well, there you heard the instructions. The referee for this one will be Jack Abelman.
I want you fellas to keep the punches up at all times. If either man goes down, I want the man that's standing to go to the most distant neutral corner. All right, I can end the bout off automatically, gentlemen, also, if there's any more than 2 knockdowns in any one given round. Okay, is there any questions? When I break, I want you to break immediately. Good luck, gentlemen.
Final instructions there from our referee for this bout, Jack Abelman. Michael the Silk Olajide of Vancouver, the defending Canadian middleweight champion, against Reyes Escalera of Puerto Rico. There he is. And as the two fighters were introduced, I hope you were able to hear the very mixed reaction that Olajide received from this large crowd at the Agrodome in Vancouver. I talked about that in the introduction as he was being led into the ring, Peter Wiley, a young man that has been involved in a real controversy, and I'm not sure a controversy entirely of his own doing, but at any rate, some love him, some love to hate him.
Yes, the fans have been coming up really to say that they want to see this guy get knocked out. I met him earlier on in the day, and I found him to be a very personable guy. Really, I don't know what the controversy is really all about, but it seemed to me he seemed to be a very nice fellow. But the fans here, as many as like him, many want to see him knocked out. He said also earlier in the day that the way he would fight this fight was he would feel his opponent out. He would use the jab and see what his opponent had to offer. So far, his opponent, Reyes Escalera, has not offered too much.
Well, I just wanted to add before we go on, Peter, that I also talked with Olajide earlier in the day and found him a very personable young man, very articulate. I asked him about the controversy. He was very frank and candid in his answers. Told me that in his opinion, the controversy was not of his own making. Many people feel that perhaps his father, his manager and trainer, Michael Olajide Sr., has caused much of it by demanding large purses, by turning down fights that the youngster could have had, by not having the youngster fight frequently enough. But at any rate, he is in the ring today wearing the solid red trunks and the boots with those marvelous tassels on them. And his opponents, wearing the red trunks with white trim, is Reyes Escalera, San Juan, Puerto Rico. Escalera coming in with a record of 17-6, according to our statistics, including 13 knockouts. And Olajide with 12 consecutive victories, 9 of those by knockouts. No championship on the line here.
Olajide is very, very quick-handed. You can see that early in the fight. He's got extremely fast reflexes. Escalera is really quite content to move back and just try to look for the opening, for the odd shot, try to pace himself. He rolled with a shot there, really, and took it on the shoulder. There he is shooting into the body, really, but exposing his chin, and Olajide may be able to take advantage of that if that happens again.
Action here of the opening round. This is scheduled to go 10 rounds, but there are plenty of the audience that speculated will not go that long, feeling that Olajide, with his abilities, will win it in the early or mid rounds. We shall see what happens. Third man in the ring, as I told you, Jack Abelman, very competent referee. Escalera, a veteran boxer at the age of 27, although not with that many fights on his card, Peter, just 23.
Yes, Olajide is following his man here. He's not cutting him off. Escalera is moving to the side, and Olajide is quite content to move over with him, but not cutting him off. And that's why the problem with throwing the right hand there, just as he did there. He can't catch up to his man with the right hand because he's not in position to throw it correctly.
Round two of this middleweight bout, about set to get underway, I should say, at the Agrodome in Vancouver. Michael the Silk Olajide, the defending Canadian middleweight champion, wearing the completely red trunks. His opponent in red with white trim is Reyes Escalera from San Juan, Puerto Rico, the middleweight champion of Puerto Rico. No title on the line here, and if you can't identify the fighters by the color of their trunks, you will note those colorful tassels on the boxing boots of Olajide.
Olajide is continuing to follow his man instead of cut him off, and he's going to have problems throughout the fight, really, in letting his man off the hook if he doesn't cut him off. He is looking to put that right hand over Escalera's outstretched left hand, but he hasn't been successful, and the reason being really is he's not in a position to get it over. He's allowing his man to slide over, and he's not sliding over with him so he can land his right hand. He was told in between rounds to really go down to the body, and he hasn't done that right now as it stands. Now just tried a body shot there, but he was short.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Peter, young Olajide, managed by his father, Michael Sr., that's only one of another number of father-son combinations in the country. The McDonalds, Huey and Roddy, the Hiltons, of course, they're fighting out of Montreal. Generally speaking, is it something you like to see or not?
No, I don't really like to see fathers in corners, and I'm nothing against fathers. I'm one myself, and I have an amateur boxer in my son Philip. But really, you have to have somebody who's in the corners very subjective, and sometimes fathers become excited. They don't really look objectively at their fighters, and it's best, as a general rule, to leave the father out of the corner.
Action here in round 2. This is scheduled to go 10, and Olajide becoming a bit of the aggressor here. He is Escalera backing up. Escalera throwing the odd left hand and following up, but Olajide keeping his gloves good and high and able to block those while getting the occasional jab of his own through. And Escalera, with a rather disturbing habit of dropping his hands entirely to his side and exposing his head and shoulder when Olajide comes after him. That could cost him at some point during the fight.
Well, Escalera is an awkward fighter. He really is. It's hard to figure out. He doesn't really have any style. He throws looping shots. You don't know where they're coming from. They're coming from third base. He's what you call a survivor. He'll lunge at you and then tie you up. He's been around, you can see that, and he's a survivor. Olajide hasn't figured him out yet. He really doesn't know how to set him up and take him out of there, but I think soon he'll start to find the openings and score well. There's a nice right hand that sort of just went off on a glancing sort of right hand, and if he connected with that, I think he might have hurt his man.
Well, Olajide, as I said, the Canadian middleweight champion. He won the crown earlier this year, April. The crown was vacant at the time, and the Canadian Pro Boxing Federation selected Olajide and Wayne Kepler out of Winnipeg to fight for the vacant crown. Olajide winning into a fight that went 9 rounds with a very controversial finish. We hope this one will be clean cuts.
Settle yourself down. Okay, settle down, baby.
The Agrodome in Vancouver and a large crowd on hand to watch the boxing action. Middleweights in the ring, Canadian champion Michael Olajide, the man they call the Silk because of his smooth style, against Reyes Escalera of Puerto Rico. Escalera wearing the red trunks with the white trim. And some interesting advice between rounds there, Peter, from the older Olajide to his son. What did he have to say?
Well, there you go. He just seen it. He said exactly what I just repeated. He said, don't get frustrated. It'll come to you. Be patient and settle yourself down, and it'll come. And here he is settling himself down, going down to the body, and he's starting to force this fight now. He's getting a little bit of confidence right now. He knows that this man really wants nothing to do with him. He wants to survive. And Olajide, he's the kind of guy that says, no way, you're going to last with me. I'm going to knock you out. You're not going to just survive with me. I'm going to take you out.
Escalera looking to land with the left hand, and much of the crowd still against Olajide, cheering, but in point of fact, the blow landed on the gloves. And now Olajide coming in with a combination as he tries to back Escalera into a corner.
Escalera looping that right hand, looking for the big right hand. It's the kind of looping right hand that if you walked into it, it could really hurt you. And Olajide has to be careful that he must keep that left hand up as he's moving in. And then when he sets up that with that jab, follow up with the right hand, and then work the body in close. He must keep the pressure. There's a nice right hand that caught Escalera right on the chin, but it never had the force of the body really behind it. It was a pushing right hand. Olajide must keep the attack up now because he knows that Escalera really wants nothing to do with him.
Come on, Mike.
Olajide with a good left-right combination that time. The right got through. Now another left hand to the head, keeping Escalera backpedaling around the ring. Olajide made the comment some time ago that he could see himself fighting Marvin Hagler, the undisputed world middleweight champion, within 18 months to 2 years. He was roundly jeered for that comment. I asked him about it earlier today. Olajide said to me, look, every man is entitled to have his dreams. Surely there was a day when Marvin Hagler dreamed of eventually getting a shot at the world crown when he was at the stage of the game that I am. I can't understand why the people are on me. And frankly, I can't either.
That's a very astute comment, really, and it is exactly right. You must have dreams, you must have hopes, you must have aspirations, and this is what this lad has. He's lacking in experience, but he's getting it here tonight. He's getting it against a guy who's a survivor. This guy is the kind of guy that will make you look bad. He will roll with punches. He will do all kinds of things to survive, and you know, he's what you call a stinker in the game. He will make you look bad, and and he'll survive. Olajide is trying to have none of that. He's trying to set him up and take him out of there.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Peter. Olajide and his father have a very close father-son relationship. What the big guy says, young Olajide generally listens to, and I'm sure his father will tell him, as he told him during the last round, to calm down, take your time, and it'll come to you.
Well, Olajide's working that jab well right now. He just should set his right hand up a little bit better and throw it off the hip. There's the right hand off the hip. Down goes Escalera. He threw a perfect right hand off the hip for the first time, and Escalera went down.
And fortunately, the bell sounded. Escalera was back on his feet. But before Olajide could step in to do any further damage, the bell had sounded. So Escalera saved any further damage as round 3 comes to a close.
Gather around me, Hardy.
Michael Olajide Jr. in the corner receiving instructions from his father, Michael Sr. He had Reyes Escalera in trouble at the end of round 3 as he dropped him with just seconds to go in the round with a looping, uppercutting right hand. But then before he could move in and continue his attack, the bell sounded, saving Escalera. Now the thing that we would expect from Olajide here is to continue to pursue in round 4, but not to be over-anxious. It's hard to tell just how fully Escalera may have recovered. He is being told now by the referee, Jack Abelman, to keep his blows up.
Well, he's throwing looping shots, and they tend to run south of the border, as they would call it. And in fact, he did hit below the belt line there and was cautioned properly by the referee. Again, here Olajide sees that right hand opening, and Escalero's punching speed is really slowed down. He really can exchange with Olajide now, because Olajide is just too fast for him. And there's that nice little right uppercut as Escalera tries to get underneath the punches, and that's the punch that's really changing the fight around. It really is not allowing Escalera to lean down and away from punches.
Michael Olajide Sr., a boxer himself, boxed a number of years ago as a heavyweight in Nigeria, moved the family to London, England. That's where young Michael was born, came to Vancouver when he was 6 years old. So he's been here for about 14 years and says he really considers this city to be his home. Oh, and a good left hand that time that seemed to momentarily stagger Escalera. Young Olajide after him now.
Well, Escalera is being set up. Escalera is being set up here for a knockout. There's the right hand coming across again. He's dropping his hands, and he is going to get put away here if he doesn't smarten up very rapidly. He's been hurt to the body.
Going to the body now. Coming in with the left, right, working downstairs, then working upstairs. Escalera backing up, trying to survive. Olajide pursuing him relentlessly around the ring. This is round 4 of the scheduled 10-rounder. And Escalera leaving his head wide open, exposed absolutely to the blows that Olajide is throwing.
Escalera is really looking for a looping right hand. You can see him leaning back and trying to set up for it. See that? Just missed with it, though. But what Olajide is doing is he is keeping his left hand up fairly well when he moves in. There's a slapping right hand. It really didn't land firmly. And if it did, I think he would have some trouble. There's a nice left hook as he spun away, and Escalera is hurt. I don't know whether he's going to beat this count.
6, 7, 8, 9. You okay? You okay?
Escalera back on his feet and being checked now by the referee, Jack Abelman. Escalera indicating that he felt that he was okay, but I wonder just how far this can go on. He is taking a beating from Michael Olajide Jr., the Canadian middleweight champion. Another left hook. And he is being ordered to a neutral corner. I thought for a moment that perhaps Abelman was going to stop it, but no, he was simply telling Olajide to go to a neutral corner. That is 2 knockdowns in the round, and there will not be a third, which would have ended the fight because the bell has just sounded. So that is the end of 4 rounds, and Michael, the Silk Olajide, clearly in command.
Well, Olajide seeing his possibility to put this man away. There's the left hook as he moved away from him. It was more of a glancing blow, really. It wasn't solid right on the chin, but it was enough to put his man down and hurt him. Here's the second knockdown coming down with another left hook. That was a little bit more firmer, and it did hurt Escalera.
Give me my water. Don't give me anything. So far.
Michael Olajide Jr. in his corner, again receiving instructions from his father. He has had his opponent, Reyes Escalera of Puerto Rico, down 3 times in this fight so far. Once in the 3rd round, twice in the 4th round. This is round 5, and one has to wonder just how much more abuse Reyes Escalera is capable of taking.
Well,
immediately back to the attack.
He really just got hit with a nice right hand now, and he's going down and out.
The 4th knockdown in the fight. Escalera back to the canvas again. And again, Jack Adelman, the referee, having to instruct Olajide, who is very eager to go back to his corner. And now Escalera's management at ringside saying, enough is enough, it's all over. An impressive 5th round TKO for Michael the Silk Olajide, the reigning Canadian middleweight boxing champion. He is greeted by members of his
Here's
entourage.
Olajide going in for the kill now, really, and a nice jab, followed by a nice right hand as Escalera moved back, and then just trying to put the coup de grace really on Escalera, but the fight was really over at that point after that right hand. Here it is again, the jab setting things up, and then the right hand as he leans back. Escalera would have no more of this.
So there is the scene in the ring. The arms of Michael Olajide Jr., the reigning Canadian middleweight champion.